My name is Emily, and I live in the city of Bristol in England. I was married to Daniel Robertson for 9 years. He worked for an international shipping company called Northwave Logistics. Our life seemed normal, a house in a quiet neighborhood, a stable job, and no obvious major problems. On March 3rd, Daniel left for work and never came back. After 24 hours, I was informed that he had been in a car accident on a highway near Manchester and died in the hospital. After the funeral, things started to change. The first thing I noticed was that his phone was not returned to me. The company said it was locked for legal reasons. This was the first thing that raised my suspicion. A week later, I received an envelope in the mail with no sender name. Inside was a small key and a card with a number written on it, Warehouse 19 Doverport. I went there 2 days later. At Doverport, there was a large warehouse marked number 19. When I entered using the key, I found many boxes arranged in an unusual way, all carrying Daniel's company logo. I opened one of the boxes. Inside were electronic devices, new phones, tracking devices, and fake shipping documents with names of different countries: Netherlands, Rotterdam, Belgium, Antwerp, and Spain, Valencia. At first, I didn't understand. But inside the second box, I found files containing photos of Daniel with people I didn't know, some holding foreign passports from Romania and Lithuania. At that moment, a man entered the warehouse. He said, "Are you Daniel's wife?" His name was Marcus Helberg. He was German and seemed to know everything. He told me directly, "Your husband did not die in an accident. His death was arranged internally." I refused to believe him at first. He gave me an old phone and said, "Open the hidden messages." On the phone, I found conversations between Daniel and a man named Victor Lemaire in France. The messages were about illegal shipments moving across Europe under the cover of the shipping company. The picture started becoming clearer. Daniel was not an ordinary employee. He was responsible for transferring illegal shipments between several countries under a legal cover. But the worst part was not this. Marcus told me that Daniel decided to leave the network a month before his death because he discovered they were planning to eliminate him. I found an audio recording inside the phone. Daniel's voice said, "If something happens to me, do not trust the company, and do not trust any official report about my death." After hearing the recording, I started to suspect the accident was staged. I went to the police in Bristol. But when I presented the information, I noticed that the officer listening to me received a phone call. After that, his attitude changed, and he told me the case was officially closed. I left immediately and felt there was a cover-up. 2 days later, someone else contacted me. A woman named Claire Donovan. She said she used to work with Daniel in the same company but in a different department. She told me, "Your husband was trying to leak information to the authorities, but he was discovered." She gave me a USB drive. It contained files proving that the company had a smuggling network across multiple countries: UK, France, Germany, Morocco, Turkey, and names of people in sensitive positions. I started to feel that my entire life with Daniel was built on a huge lie. A week later, I was being watched. A black car was parked in front of my house every night. Anonymous messages were sent to me saying, "Stop searching if you want to stay alive." But I did not stop. I went back to Warehouse 19, but this time it was partially closed, as if someone had discovered my previous visit. Inside a hidden corner, I found a small notebook. In Daniel's handwriting it said, "If you were reading this, I did not die by accident. There are people who will not allow me to leave. Everything I left you is the truth." The last page contained names and bank account numbers in Zurich and Luxembourg. After that, Marcus disappeared. Everyone who tried to help me started disappearing or cutting contact. In the end, I received one final message from an unknown number. You are now the next target because you know too much. I closed the house, changed cities, and started living under a new identity in Glasgow. But the truth I discovered did not disappear. My husband did not die in an accident. He was silenced because he tried to get out of a much bigger network than I ever imagined. After everything that happened, I left Bristol and changed my identity. I started a new life in Glasgow, Scotland. I was not really living. I was just trying to stay hidden. I had no close family and no trust in people. Every day I felt I could disappear the same way my husband Daniel disappeared, or like those who tried to help me. At this stage, I met a man named Thomas Whitmore. He was about 58 years old, around 30 years older than me. He lived alone in a large house on the outskirts of the city, near Stirling. We met by coincidence in a small library. I was reading old documents about the companies I suspected. He was sitting nearby and noticed I was going through many papers nervously. He did not ask direct questions about my life. He simply said, "It looks like you are running away from something serious." I did not answer at first. But over the following days, we kept meeting in the same place. He spoke calmly, never pressured me, and respected my silence. After a few weeks, he said, "If you don't have a place to stay, you can stay at my house temporarily until you get back on your feet." I needed safety, so I accepted. I entered his house. It was a quiet place, far from city noise. No excessive questions, no interference. At first, I felt suspicious, but he never tried to control me or dig into my past. He simply gave me space. With time, I slowly started coming out of fear. I began to smile again, go out to the garden, and feel like a normal human being again. He did not talk much about his past, except once when he said he was a former lawyer who left the profession after problems with major corporate cases. I did not tell him everything at first, but over time, I told him part of what happened with Daniel and the network I discovered. He did not judge me. He simply said, "What you discovered is more dangerous than you think." After months, the relationship changed. It was no longer just shelter or help. It became a quiet bond built on safety and trust more than anything else. After 1 year, I became pregnant. It was not planned, but when I found out, I was not afraid like before. It felt different. I gave birth to a girl and named her Sophie Carter. She became the first thing in my life that gave me real peace. Thomas treated her like his own daughter and never made any difference between her and me in care or attention. But even with this, the past was still not gone. One day, I received an envelope with no sender name. The same old method. My heart dropped. I opened it. Inside was a note written, "We know where you are. And we know the child." All memories of fear and escape came back immediately. Thomas saw my face and asked directly, "Did they come back?" I said yes. He did not seem surprised. He simply said, "I knew this day would come." That same night, he collected some documents and told me, "If you want to live in peace, we need to leave the country temporarily." We traveled to Portugal, to a small city called Cascais. We tried to build a new life again, but this time as a family. 1 year passed, and we lived in relative peace. But inside me, I knew the past had not ended. It had only been delayed. One day, while sitting with my daughter, I looked at Thomas and he said, "Emily, official marriage is not just paperwork. It is protection for you both." I stayed silent. I was thinking about everything: Daniel, betrayal, fear, survival, and then this new life. Finally, I said, "Yes, I will marry you." But the real ending was not purely romantic. A few days after my decision, I received the last news about the old network. Parts of it were dismantled in Europe, and Daniel's name appeared in the investigation files as someone who tried to leave and was eliminated. At that moment, I understood one thing. I did not fully escape the story, I only survived it temporarily. But this time, I was not alone. I had my daughter, a man who stood by me, and a life I chose not to run away from again.
Guido, what's your house here?